Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see by the title of this video, we are doing a reading about what you were famous for in a past life. And I wrote a thread on Twitter about karmic fame, and that's kind of what prompted me to do this reading. So basically what karmic fame is when you are destined to experience fame in order for you to grow as a soul or grow on a spiritual level. So it's very similar to like karmic relationships, like we've all heard about karmic relationships, karmic partners, where we are meant to grow as a person, right? Like that person helps us to spiritually evolve in some way. Is usually through like shining a spotlight on our wounds, and we end up growing and evolving as a result. And I know that karmic relationships have like a very negative undertone because when you hear about karmic relationships, it's usually tied to like some sort of toxicity, but karmic doesn't automatically have to mean bad. It doesn't automatically have to mean toxic or negative. Karmic is just a cycle, right? And also I do want to say that karmic is not always about karma. Like it's not always, oh yeah, you did something bad and so now you're in a bad relationship as like a punishment, as karma. Like, no, that's not what karmic is. Karmic, you could think of it as like just a cycle, like things that we go through over and over again until we recognize the pattern, recognize why we're stuck in the cycle, and then we end up growing and evolving out of it. So when it comes to karmic fame, that could very well mean that in your past life, you were famous in some way, and you're meant to experience it again in this lifetime because there is some more growth that you're meant to experience through you being in the public eye or through you being famous. And you'll know if you are someone who is destined for karmic fame because you'll just intuitively have a feeling. But also, I did write a thread on Twitter about 10 signs of you being karmic or you having karmic fame. But for the most part, just to sum it up, you'll intuitively know because you'll just always have this feeling that you were meant to be famous. Like you'll just have this inner feeling like I'm destined to be famous. Even if it hasn't shown up yet, you'll just know it deep down. So this reading is for those of you who just kind of feel that or you kind of know that. And this reading will basically give you a look into what you were famous for in your past life, and then also how that's affecting you this lifetime, how that's affecting your path towards fame this lifetime, and any advice that I can give you to help you along that path. And also I wanted to say that my past life readings are open right now. I decided to stock them. I haven't done them in a long time, but I decided to stock them because I had a couple of people ask me about them. So I figured that's a sign that I need to restock. And also it is my tarot anniversary. I have been reading tarot officially for 6 years now. So I decided this would be a perfect time to kind of celebrate by restocking my past life readings and also putting them on sale. So if you are interested in getting a past life reading, the link to that will be in the description box down below. And you can book a reading about fame. Like let's say you watched this video and it resonates with you and you want more info about your past life as a famous person. Like you can book a reading about that. But if you're not interested in that, you could also just book a past life reading in general and just ask me any questions that you want to know. So yeah, the link to that will be in the description box down below. Okay, this has been a very long intro. So for those of you who are new to pick a card readings, basically you look at the screen, you figure out which pile calls towards you the most or which group calls to you the most intuitively, and then you go into the description box and click the timestamp of that group, and then you will receive your messages. So yeah, you just take a second, pause the video if you need to, look at all of the cards and just intuitively choose whichever one calls to you the most. And if more than one calls to you, then you can feel free to watch more than one as well. Okay, group number one, let's go ahead and dive into your reading. And just like I mentioned in the intro, if this reading resonates with you and you want to book a full past life reading with me, the link to that will be in the description box down below. And because it is my tarot anniversary, I have been reading tarot for 6 years now, which is so crazy. But yeah, I decided to put my past life readings on sale just to kind of celebrate my tarot anniversary. So if you want to book with me, the link will be in the description box down below. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this reading. We're going to look at what you were famous for in your past life, and then we are going to look at how that is affecting you this lifetime and any messages that comes through when it comes to your road to fame this lifetime. Okay, so the first two cards out are the Ten of Swords and the Fool card in reverse. Okay, so your past life, this is interesting what's coming through. And first off, I want to say don't get afraid because you see the Ten of Swords. Like, people see that card and they automatically think terrible things because the image is so graphic, but don't think anything too bad until we actually get into the messages. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that, you definitely in your past life made a very, very big impact, but it looks like it may have ended in some sort of tragedy. So I'm getting like the tragic hero sort of storyline for you. So making a very big difference in society or making a very big impact in the world, but things taking a turn. So the person that's coming to mind, and again, please don't be afraid of this and don't like freak out over this, because when people start to hear things like this, like they get paranoid. Y'all know when it comes to my readings, it's never meant to put any fear in your heart, and it does not mean that this is what's going to happen to you in this lifetime. So just remain calm when I say what I'm about to say. So the person that comes to mind intuitively is Martin Luther King Jr., how he made like a really big impact on the world, but then it was like a tragic end. And then the next person that came to mind is Selena, who made a very big impact in music and then met a tragic end. Now, again, that does not mean that this lifetime you're going to experience fame and experience some sort of tragic end. It doesn't mean that. And also, this is a general reading. So that means that, I'm reading for a large group of people. So I'm really picking up on the themes of your past life. So the theme for your past life is that you made a very big impact and it ended tragically. And just because those two people came to mind, it could be other things as well. Like, for example, it could be like a political figure. Like, you became really big in politics. Like, you had a really big political career and then you were betrayed. And so then that betrayal left you in a position where you had to step down from your position. Like, you were in some sort of scandal maybe, and you had to step down from your position. Kind of like Bill Clinton when he got impeached. Like, it could be that as well, It could also have been like you were an inventor of some sort or like an innovator of some sort, and you got recognized for like all your significant contributions or your inventions. And then maybe your career came to an end due to intellectual theft, or like someone close to you, like a business partner betraying you and stealing your work, or your business partner betraying you and lying and saying that you stole their work and then your reputation was ruined, like that sort of thing. So yeah, don't automatically get fearful, because the themes could mean many things. But yes, for some of you, it could mean that it ended in tragedy in the way that MLK ended in tragedy. Okay, so I feel like I gave enough of a disclaimer. I just never want y'all to be fearful at all. But the good news is that, like I said, you were extremely, extremely brilliant in your past life. Like, you were someone who, like I said, made a very, very big impact on the world. And you were highly praised and highly regarded for the impact that you made, for the lives that you inevitably changed. I'm also getting the energy of the Knight of Wands in this group, where you were someone who was just so bold, like where everyone else was afraid to put themselves out there, where everyone else was afraid to, use their gifts and talents. You were not afraid to just go out and do it. Everybody else, I'm getting that everybody else played it safe except for you. You knew that you had certain abilities, you knew that you had certain gifts, and you also saw certain areas of society and certain things in the world that you were like, no, this needs to change. And so you were not afraid to go out and actually make that change. So I feel like in this lifetime, what this is saying is that you have that trait still. Like you carry that trait from your past life into this life, where you are someone who is very bold. And if you're listening to this and you're like, oh no, I'm not bold, well, it's in you. You just have not tapped into it just yet. But it's definitely in you from this past life, this side of you that's like, you know what, I see certain things that need to be changed in the world, and I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to leave my mark on the world. And I'm seeing that was your mindset in this past life as well. That mindset of like, I'm going to leave my mark on this world. Like that was your mindset from early on, which makes sense because usually people who do end up changing the world, sometimes it's a thing where they just kind of stumble into their purpose, right? But for the most part, it's someone who thinks long term and they think about the type of legacy that they want to leave behind. So that's what I'm seeing here for you. It's like you knew, or you eventually grew to know, like, this is what I want. This is how I want to leave my mark. This is how I want to leave my stamp in this world. And you definitely did leave your mark for sure. So in this lifetime, I pulled the Devil card and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So this lifetime, I'm seeing that you might have a lot of fear surrounding fame, which makes sense because you experienced some sort of downfall when it came to fame. You experienced some sort of like untimely ending, and again, that could mean many different things, but you experienced that. And now it's like this lifetime, that you're destined to be famous. You know that you're destined to leave your mark on this world, but you are afraid. And it's like, it's causing you to not take action. And that's probably why I was picking up on how some of you are like, oh, I'm not bold. Like when I said, oh, you were bold in this lifetime, you took action. Some of you were like, ooh, that's not me. Like that can't be talking about me. For some of you, like, yes, it is you, but that part of you is suppressed because of fear. And that's because you have this subconscious memory. Like you might not remember it consciously, but on a subconscious level, you remember this untimely ending that happened in your past life. And so you fear it repeating and you fear it happening again. So you're not even putting any work into whatever it is that's supposed to make you famous this lifetime. You're not even putting any energy or investing anything into it because you have this fear of this ending. And this is a valid fear because if you met this ending in your past life, why wouldn't it give you fear of it happening again this lifetime? That's like if you were younger and you got bit by a dog. And now as an adult, why wouldn't you be afraid of dogs? Like you got bit by one. Of course, now that you're older, you're going to go out of your way to avoid that experience again. So I do see why you are fearful of stepping onto your path. But what I'm seeing here with the Knight of Swords that I just pulled is that you're not going to meet the same untimely end, or you're not going to experience like a tragic downfall. Like I don't see that happening again this lifetime. I do see that you are going to meet challenges for sure, but the Knight of Swords card lets me know that fear that you're going to meet this crazy ending, that it's all in your mind. Which I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain this because it's like, duh, it's all in your mind. Like that's what's making me fearful. It's the thoughts, right? But I feel like, trying to figure out the best way to word this. It's like you're catastrophizing. Is that what the word is? Like when we have a tendency to look into the future and see the worst case scenario, and that's because of the things that we have already experienced. But what ends up happening is that worst case scenario was never going to take place. But because we catastrophized it, we projected into the future, we never ended up going towards the life that we were meant to live. So I feel like this is like the message that's coming through is like a message of reassurance that you are divinely protected. Because I just pulled the Source card, that you are divinely protected. Your purpose this lifetime is not just for you to be famous and for you to get the perks of being famous and well known and respected. Your purpose has a lot to do with other people. Like you walking in your purpose is going to trigger other people to walk in theirs. So there's going to be a lot of people, like a lot of fans, subscribers, followers. Like if you're someone who's going to become big on social media, like they are going to look at you and it's going to trigger their own purpose. So you not walking in yours is blocking people from walking in theirs. So therefore, you are divinely protected. Like the universe is going to divinely protect you on your purpose because your purpose is so much bigger than just you. You see what I'm saying? So I understand why, like, you would feel afraid because of this, what took place in the past life, but it's not going to happen again in this lifetime. You're being reassured that you are divinely protected, and any setbacks that you experience, they are just going to be setbacks that you are going to be able to bounce back from. And anybody who tries to like sabotage you, or anybody who tries to harm you intentionally, they are harming a far greater power than just you. Like that's like them trying to harm God. That's what I'm seeing in the cards. I know that might sound really extreme, but it's true. Like if God is telling you, or, God, the divine, the universe, whatever your beliefs are, if this higher power is protecting you in order to use you to help other people, somebody trying to hurt you is like hurting that higher power. And I don't think people want to play around when it comes to, trying to interfere in that way, because they will end up getting very, very terrible karmic backlash for it. Because again, they're not just harming you and knocking you off your path. They are now affecting a lot of other people's paths as well. And they have to pay all of that karmic debt. So you will be able to bounce right back, while they will be put in a position where things are just not going to go well for them. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, that is what I'm seeing for you. That's what I'm seeing for you. My past life readings, like I said, are open and they are on sale. If you want to get more information about this, you can book a reading. And if you don't want more information specifically about fame, you can book a past life reading about anything and just ask me exactly what you want to know. Like it doesn't have to be about karmic fame. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you. I really, really hope that this was helpful. Just remember, do not let fear block you from your purpose, because again, your purpose is bigger than just you, and you are divinely protected. So yeah, that's it. I really hope that this was helpful, and I will see you guys in my next reading. Bye. Okay, group number 2, let's go ahead and dive into your reading. And just like I mentioned in the intro, my past life readings are open and they are on sale since it is my tarot anniversary. So if you want to book a past life reading with me, the link is in the description box down below. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. So what you were famous for in a past life, and then we're going to look at how that affects you in this lifetime and any advice that I see in the cards. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that, first off, the card that I pulled is the Queen of Cups card in reverse, and it's clarified by the Four of Wands. So immediately, I feel like in your past life, you were famous for your sensitivity or your intuitive gifts. Well, usually those two things usually go hand in hand. Like sensitive people usually do have heightened intuition. So what I'm seeing here is that you could have been a very famous like healer or like a spiritual leader of some sort. This could even be an indicator that you were a famous artist or like some sort of famous creative figure. And I say that because artists usually are very intuitive and they usually are channeling their music or their artwork or, whatever their creative medium is. They're usually channeling it from a higher realm. It's kind of like when Michael Jackson did that interview and he was saying that all of his ideas come from up above. That's basically taking creative ideas from a higher realm and pulling them down onto this realm. So I'm getting like spiritual leader, spiritual like guru, spiritual teacher, a psychic medium potentially, or like an artist or creative figure of some sort. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I'm hearing for some of you, like it could have been like a philanthropist, like you having a lot of money and you using it to help people who are in need. But for the most part, I'm getting more so of like the spiritual healer or artist type of energy. So I am also seeing the Four of Wands here, and the Four of Wands talks about your home life. So I feel like you also could have been famous for being married to someone famous. Like yes, you were like a spiritual healer or something along those lines, but you also had a spouse who was famous for something as well. So I feel like that's another thing that people like looked up to you about, or they looked up to you when it came to like your connection or your relationship. Now, with the Queen of Cups being here in the reverse, I feel like there may have been some issues in this past life, right? There may be some issues when it came to your boundaries. I feel like because you were like a healer of some sort, or like a spiritual leader of some sort, yes, you made a positive impact on people, but I feel like the job really started to weigh on you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and of course that translates over into physical as well. Like you can even get physically sick. If you are someone who is like very sensitive and you're doing all of this like spiritual work for other people and you don't have the proper boundaries, you could start to absorb a lot of their issues, a lot of their problems, a lot of their energy, and it can really start to like break you down. Like I said, physically, emotionally, and mentally. So I feel like there may have been something surrounding that. Like that's what I'm picking up on. Like there may have been some issues surrounding that in a past life where your work was really taking a very heavy impact on you. And I'm hearing that you were someone who also like you put other people before yourself. So you were constantly thinking about the people who you were in service to. Like you were constantly thinking about the people who needed you as a healer, as a leader. And you felt yourself like not feeling well, but you just felt like I have to keep going because these people need me. And I'm hearing that you were very, very high in demand. Like people, like you were booked all the time. Like if you were someone who was like a spiritual leader who would like travel to speak, your speeches would be sold out every single time. If you were someone who like people traveled to come and see you and get healing, you were busy every day of the week, like with people coming constantly to you in order to get your services. So yeah, I feel like it started to take a toll on you, but you just wanted to keep doing it anyway because you just saw how much you were helping people and you're like, I can't let people down. I can't take a break. And if you were like an artist or a creative figure of some sort, it's the same thing. Like you were traveling to do shows, your shows were packed. You know, people were always coming to your meet and greets. People were constantly buying your work. People, you know, like you had like super fans and you would be struggling, but you would say to yourself, okay, I can't, like, even though I'm struggling, my fans need me. I need to still do this show. I need to still, you know, like put out my work. Like my fans are needing me. They're depending on me. I need to keep doing it. And I feel like it really, really took a toll on you. I feel like it got to a point where maybe you were forced to stop. Like you, like, for example, you could have had like, what are they called? Not a mental breakdown. Like, what is it called when you're just like, your body is just fatigued and you just like collapse and like people have to go to like the hospital for, I want to say it's like fatigue. Is it called like chronic fatigue? I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but I think y'all get what I'm trying to say. Like your body forced you to stop at some point. And I feel like you had to either take a very long hiatus from your work, or you had to stop doing your work altogether in order to take care of yourself, in order to take care of your health. Let me see what else. I do also feel like for some of you, because of the fact that you were so sensitive and your work was so demanding, and also you could have like gone through some things early on in life, like before you became a healer or before you became like an artist, you could have gone through some really like traumatic things early on in life. And so some of you, I'm getting that you may have had like an issue with substances or like an issue with like escapism or like addictions of some sort as well. And that could have been the thing that made it so that you had to stop your work or slow down on your work in some way. But what I will say is that for those of you who, along with this, you were also known for like your relationship remained healthy. So that's a good thing. Like the relationship with the Four of Wands, it remained intact even through like the hardships that you experienced. Your relationship remained intact. So you were with this person for the long run. So this lifetime, it's very possible that you might end up not only famous again this lifetime, but also married to someone who was also famous this lifetime and have a very healthy relationship with them. So now looking at your current life cards, I'm seeing the Hierophant card and I'm seeing the Knight of Pentacles. So this lifetime, it's very much repeating in terms of your path to fame. I feel like you are like a sensitive being this lifetime again. You are someone who's very intuitive. And with the Hierophant card being here, it looks like this lifetime you're going to be famous for utilizing those gifts yet again. Now, this can go in a couple of different ways. This can go with you being a spiritual leader again this lifetime. This could go with you being like, maybe you're on YouTube, like maybe you're a spiritual guru, maybe you're a tarot reader, maybe you're an astrologer. It could even be like maybe you are a life coach, but it's something here where you're using your intuitive and spiritual gifts to once again be a leader of some sort and to help people to overcome their past issues, to overcome any type of pain that they're currently in. You're using your sensitivity and your intuitive gifts to help them. And yes, that could absolutely include being an artist as well, because like I said, artists are ultimately just reaching into the higher realms and pulling down work into the physical. It's like using your body to channel higher creative ideas, right? And that can go any way. Like you could be a musician, you can be a painter, you could be even like a hairstylist. It's like an artist can be many different things. So don't think that it has to be boxed into like one specific way. But yeah, it's like that's what I'm seeing for you. You're like helping people through your intuitive gifts, through your spiritual gifts, through your creative gifts. And I see you becoming very famous. And I see you becoming someone who it's like people hang on to your every word. Like if you're like a motivational speaker, people are showing up to your shows and they're like listening to you very intently. Like they're hanging on to what you are saying because they find you to be so wise and so brilliant and like just have the most helpful advice, like life-changing advice is what I'm seeing. Like when people come to see you, they feel like their life has been changed. And it doesn't even have to be in person. Like I said, for some of you, this could very well be that you're building an online following. And that's how you are reaching your audience. And that's how you are reaching the people who are looking up to you and coming to you for this advice. And this is something that's long term. Like you're going to have lifelong fans, lifelong followers, like people who started watching you when they were 20 years old and 30 years from now, like they're still watching you. Like if you're still doing the same thing or if you've like evolved into something else, they have been like a lifetime fan of yours. That's what I'm seeing here. Like this is a loyal, like dedicated, almost like cult-like following. And when I say cult-like, I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't mean you're a cult leader of any sort. Cult-like meaning that they're just very devoted and dedicated to you as followers. It's not like, but you know what? I don't see them like worshiping you though. So for some of you, like if you got kind of like, ooh, I don't know about that because you don't want anybody to like be putting you on a pedestal or worshiping you, don't worry. I feel like it's not that type of thing. Like it's not that type of thing. They're very like, they just really admire and respect you and you just make such a positive impact on their life. And this is, like I said, this is a long-term thing. This is a long-term thing. These are fans that are going to be with you for the long run. And as you are continuing your work, it's just like more and more fans are, just joining your fan base. And for some of you, I'm hearing that you're uncomfortable with the thought of having fans. Don't think of them as fans then. Just think of them as like supporters. Think of it that way. But what I'm getting is, the example that I'm getting is Beyonce. How Beyonce, like she's been in the industry for decades and there are people who have been fans of hers for decades. Like that's the type of energy that I'm getting when I hear longevity. But what I will say is that you can definitely learn from your past life. Definitely learn from it because the last thing you want to do is to end up being burnt out, end up being extremely exhausted, end up making yourself sick because you are absorbing other people's energy. And that goes for like when you are actually in the public eye, because I'm seeing like you're definitely going to be in the public eye, but that goes for, your fans or your supporters, but that also goes for people in your day-to-day life. Because of the type of work that you're doing, you have to make sure that you're setting energetic boundaries, period. Like when you're in front of your fans or when you're helping people, but also when you're not in your private life, the people who you have in your inner circle. You have to make sure that you're setting boundaries with them and that you have healthy relationships with them because of the fact that this work is so mentally, emotionally, and spiritually taxing. You can't afford to have like toxic or imbalanced relationships behind the scenes, is what I'm seeing here. And if you are someone who has like experienced a lot of past trauma, make sure that you are seeking out help for that. Like if you need to go get professional help, then do it. Because I see in your past life, you could have been like self-medicating in order to get through it. And that could have been, a part of the reason why you had to slow down in your past life and you had to step away from your work. And when I say self-medicating, I don't just mean like substances like hard drugs and stuff like that. Self-medicating could be anything that you're addicted to. Self-medicating could be even like addiction to toxic relationships, like constantly running towards toxic relationships because you've been kind of conditioned to crave those highs and those lows that come with a toxic relationship. Like toxic relationships can be very, very addictive. And so just think about addiction in that sense. Like, don't think about it as just like, oh, I'm not doing drugs. I'm not, just anything that you may be just like overly dependent on because it gives you that high and it distracts you from the things you've been through. That is something that needs to be addressed because it is going to slow down your work. And ultimately, your work is what's going to bring you the most joy and fulfillment in this lifetime, is what I'm seeing. So yeah, like I said, you are definitely destined to be famous this lifetime, destined to have people who genuinely look up to you and who are going to be with you for the long haul. Like they're going to be with you for years and years and years, decades even, is what I'm seeing. And you just have a very, very, very loyal community, which a lot of people would kill to have this, is what I'm seeing in the cards. Like, a lot of people would love to have the type of following and the type of commitment from your supporters that you're going to have. So definitely look after yourself so that you can walk on this path and that you can ultimately enjoy this path, because I see it being very emotionally fulfilling for you and also for the people who follow you. So yeah, that's it. I hope that this was helpful. Again, if you want to book a personal reading with me, the link will be in the description box for past life readings. And you could book a past life reading specifically to learn more about this, like to learn more about your path of fame. But if you don't want to know about this path of fame, you could just book a past life reading and you can ask questions about anything that you want to know about your past life. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next reading. Bye. Okay, group number 3, let's go ahead and dive into your reading. And just like I mentioned in the intro, my past life readings are open and they are on sale because I am celebrating my tarot anniversary. I have been reading tarot for 6 years now, which is very crazy to think about. But yeah, if you want to book a past life reading, the link will be in the description box down below. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into your reading. So in your past life, first, basically what we're going to be covering is what you were famous for in your past life, and then we're going to be looking at what is happening with you in this lifetime in terms of fame, like how you're going to be experiencing fame and any advice that comes through the cards. So for your first 2 cards, we have the 6 of Cups and the Hangman card. So this is going to sound kind of weird, but what I'm seeing is that in your past life, you were famous because of your inability to let the past go. So this could go a couple of different ways. I'm just going to give you everything I'm hearing intuitively. For some of you, this could have been like you had something happen to you in your past and you could not let it go. You could not heal from it. You could not overcome it. So you created something out of it and it ended up becoming famous. Like, for example, let's say you went through a bad breakup and so you wrote, like you couldn't get over it. You couldn't get past it. It was very traumatizing for you. So you ended up writing like a fantasy novel series, like based off of that breakup, or like in the books that you wrote, you made like your ex like one of the villains in the book, and you end up overcoming him in the book, like that sort of thing. Well, him or her, because we don't discriminate here. But yeah, you wrote about your ex in a fantasy series, and it ended up becoming a bestseller, and you ended up getting famous. Like that's just an example, but that's what I mean by some of you could not overcome the past. So you took it, you turned it into something, and you ended up getting very, really famous for it. For some of you, what I'm seeing here is that you could have had a rough childhood. And so because that obviously really deeply affected you and scarred you, you ended up creating things for children. So for example, you could have ended up creating like a children's show, right? Because you wanted to help other kids who may have been going through difficult times, or they may have had a difficult childhood. You wanted to be able to reach them through your work. I'm seeing here, like for some of you, I'm seeing you going through a difficult childhood, and the only escape for you was watching a certain show. So then when you grow up, you decide you want to create that show. You want to create a show like that yourself, in the hopes that, you know, if some other child out there is going through a dysfunctional upbringing, that your show that you create could be their escape. You see what I'm saying? It's like that. Like, that's what I mean by the inability to let go of the past and you creating something out of it. This could also be like, sticking to the theme of children that I'm picking up on. This could also be like you writing children's books, like you becoming a very famous like author. Like, for example, the author who wrote like the Junie B. Jones books, and the author that wrote Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like, that's what I mean, becoming like a famous children's author or storyteller. And for some of you, this could even directly be like you starting some sort of organization in order to just help children in general, like you starting some sort of children's charity and things of that sort. Or you could even be like an inventor, like someone who created like a world famous children's toy, like the creator of like the Easy Bake Oven or something along those lines. But that's what I'm saying. It's like the past. It's like related to the past, the inability to let go of the past. So you turn it into something that becomes famous, or you having like this connection to your own childhood. So you creating things to help children. Like, that's what I'm seeing for you. So what I will say is that this lifetime, it looks like you are meant to repeat that. And again, it could go both ways. So it could be that this lifetime you're meant to create something specifically for children, or specifically to help children, or to help adults who are healing their inner child, because maybe they were abused as children. So now, like, your audience may not be children directly, but it may be adults who are currently healing their inner child, and you're creating something for them to help them heal. And that could mean creating some sort of art for them. Like, you could be somebody who's creating movies, you're creating shows, you're writing books, you're writing stories, like things like that. Or it could be just like directly helping them, like someone who's like a psychologist or a therapist or like a life coach or something like that. So again, it could be related. Your fame this lifetime could be related to helping children or to helping people heal their inner child. And if not that, your fame this lifetime is related to you just taking something painful from your past and creating something out of it that is going to help a lot of people. And I feel like initially, whatever it is that you create, you may not even think that it's going to help a lot of people. Like, in your mind, you're just doing it as an outlet, but then it ends up being like this big thing out of nowhere. Like, for a lot of you, I'm feeling like your fame is going to come out of nowhere, or it's going to be something that is somewhat unexpected. Because again, I feel like it's just something that you're doing just because you are obsessed with the past. And I don't say obsessed in a bad way. Because like when people say, oh, you're obsessed with the past, they kind of like shame you for it. Like, oh, you need to get over it, just move on. Like, no, if something deeply, deeply hurts you, why would you not be obsessed with it? Like, that's how our brains are wired. When something hurts us, our brain latches onto it in order for us to process it and in order for us to avoid it happening again. So when I say obsessed, I don't mean it in a negative way whatsoever. Just wanted to make that clear. But yeah, if you're someone who is just really, really fixated on something that has happened to you in the past, I do feel like turning it into something or creating something from it is going to be the thing that helps you to heal. And surprisingly, to your surprise, it's also going to resonate with a lot of people, because I do see you like sharing it online in some way and it helping a lot of people, or a lot of people resonating with it. And for some of you, you might feel like it's a unique experience. Like, no one else is going through this but me. Like, you could feel very isolated about it, and you're going to be very pleasantly shocked. Well, not pleasantly, but you're going to be shocked to see that so many people relate. And I say not pleasantly because obviously we don't want people to go through hardship or pain, right? But it is a good feeling when you do know that you're not alone in what you've experienced, and that you creating something out of what you went through is resonating so much with other people that you feel like this connection with them, and it kind of like lightens the weight of what you've been through, and it lightens the weight of what they have been through. So I feel like yeah, that message is coming through very strongly. It's light, it's taking the weight off of what people have been through, because the minute they realize that it's not just them, and that it's also you, and it's also a bunch of other people who resonate with your work, it's like it takes a load off of them. They don't feel like they're carrying it all alone. And the image that I'm getting intuitively is like, the more people who have been through it, the lighter it feels. Like, if you've gone through something hurtful or traumatic and you find another person and y'all become friends because you've both gone through it, it's like now that weight that you were carrying, it's like it has lessened a bit because it's between two people now. But let's say you meet a group of like 20 people who have all been through it, and every week y'all meet up together and y'all talk about what you've been through and you support each other. Like, that weight just keeps on getting lighter and lighter the more people that you connect with who have been through it. And that's why like groups like Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that, like why they are so effective, because of the fact that the more people that you connect with that have also gone through it, the lighter it feels. So it makes sense why you creating something and turning this pain into something and putting it out there for the world, it's like it will cause you to become very well known, because that is something that is definitely needed, and you can see how valuable that would be to someone who is suffering, right? And that's what fame ultimately is a lot of the time. It's just adding value to people, like changing a lot of people's lives for the better. And that's what I'm seeing for you. And I am seeing that it does take courage. It absolutely takes courage in order for you to put whatever this is that you create. It takes courage to put it out there. But I feel like you're going to make it happen, because it just feels like, I'm not saying that you're being pushed like against your will, because we all have free will. But I just feel like it'll just keep on calling to you until you finally put it out there. Like, for example, if you're writing a book and that book has been in your mind for a long time, it's just going to keep calling to you until you find like, you know what, I'm just going to write it. I'm just going to put it out there. Or like if you're an artist, or you're someone who like is a singer or a musician, it's going to keep calling to you. Like, it just will not let you rest until you finally decide, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and write a song and record it and see what happens and just put it out there, because it won't let you rest. And that's your intuition guiding you, because so many people are in need of what you're putting out there. But not just that, it's your intuition guiding you towards what's going to heal you as well, because your fixation or your like obsession with what has happened, it's a cry for healing pretty much. And so you creating this is going to help you to heal, and it's going to help a bunch of other people as well. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you. So I can definitely see how your this trait of not being able to let go of the past, like I can see how like some people might think of it as a negative thing. Some people might be like, oh, just let it go. Or maybe you yourself have shamed yourself for it. Like, why can't I just let this go? But you're not meant to. Like, you are a sensitive person. You feel things very deeply. Of course, your brain's going to latch on to those things you've experienced. So just like your past life, I feel like you're going to take that and turn that into something great. So you're going to use that, your inability to let go of the past, you're going to use it to your advantage and turn it into something great and become very well known the same way you did in your past life. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. And again, my past life readings are open. You can book a reading about your past life as a famous person, like in this fame reading. Like, you can book a more in-depth personal reading with me. Or if you're not interested in that, you could also just book a past life reading in general and ask me any questions that you want to ask about your past life. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching again. I really hope that this was helpful, and I will see you in my next video.